Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm Jeff Howard, and I'm on Zoom right now with Renée Veronica Freeman. Hey, Renée.
Hey, Jeff. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Yes, I guess we should explain to people, because this
Right.
podcast is going to come out at the very end of very end of January of 2026. But we are talking on the second to last day of 2025, December 30th,
I
2025.
thought it'd be a great way to end the year with you, So
It is. Look, this is my last podcast of the year, and if I did the
Right.
math, I'd probably lose my mind because your podcast, if everything holds, which sometimes there's changes, but I believe this will be number 644.
Ooh, okay, cool. Wow.
Started this fun little thing in 2017. 2017, because the Q&As at the film festivals were great, but 15 minutes is a nice long Q&A. But at the end of that Q&A, I'd say to myself, that person put a year into that work of art and got to discuss it for 15 minutes. And I had to let, goofballs in the audience start asking questions after, for half the time. And they ask questions. I'm like, oh, come on, there's more interesting things we could ask. So I got the idea for the podcast and just started it. So you are number 644. And you are here because I'm going to say your film, Chromatography, had its world premiere at Film Invasion Los Angeles in 2025.
Thank you.
And was an official selection of Sci-Fi, and it won Outstanding Cast Performance for Sci-Fi. And you are in the cast. In fact, you are very much the lead. Although it's a co-lead situation, I guess is fair to say.
Two-hander for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll add that's I called it the Filmmakers Award because it's decided by what we call the Filmmakers Board. That's a jury of your peers. That is an all alumni jury.
Amazing.
It was,
you so
and we
much
had
for having me.
a great screening, and I was privileged actually to do your Q&A, as I recall.
Yeah.
And I don't get to do those anymore because the festival's grown too big, and the whole staff was like, you can't disappear inside the theater anymore. So you will forever be one of my look at this. You're my last podcast of 2025, and you were in the last batch of Q&As I ever got to do.
Wow.
So there you go. You are locked in my personal history books.
Awesome. And then one day I just get to make it to game night.
Well, there we go. So I will add that your film was actually directed by one of our what do you call it? One of our a frequent flyer? No,
Oh,
he's
I love that.
as an alumni, I believe your director and co-producer Michael Von Hernandez. That young man, he's just young to me. He probably doesn't consider himself young. He was in our very first festival with a short, and he has been back 5 or 6 times, and the work is always excellent. So I will say that I know that you also co-wrote Chromatography, as well as being one of the producers and part of the cola, the two-hander cast, as you call it.
Hmm.
And so it's critical to you, but I just want to add that, I know he's a very polished, accomplished director, and the fact that I'm going to assume that he read the script for Chromatography and was like, I want to do this. And I got to say, that's another, as well as our jury recognizing the quality of your work. I mean, I would say he's definitely not someone who he has never said yes to a script that wasn't fantastic, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, Vaughn, as I call him, many of us call him Michael Vaughn Hernandez. Vaughn, I had actually met him in LA when I was living in LA, and through a colleague of mine, Oral. I forget Oral's last name for some reason now, but anyway, Oral was doing a comedy miniseries, web series, and he's someone that in the LA community, when you find your people. I was working at Jones on Third, right across from CVS Radford, and that's where I met Oral, and Oral Ellis, that's his last name. And anyway, so we got to get to know each other through working together, and he thought I was kind of a funny character, and so he wrote wrote a role for me in his web series, which was so cool. And I showed up on set, and Vaughn actually was stepping in for another director who was leaving for the day. And I got an opportunity to, I think it was actually, I would say I would count it my luck, because the few hours that I got to spend with him, the way that he communicated with me as a director, it was very, very clear. He's a analytical brain, and he's very, sort of like a mathematician in his mind. And when he communicates, it's very, very clear. And he loves to analyze like personality types and IFNJ or all that, kind of stuff. Like, he's huge on those, and actually will use those as reference points when we're talking about character. But Vaughn really just impressed me with his communication and with the way in which we processed through the scene. And it came out just in a way that I would just felt so comfortable. And I thought, man, I don't know how, I don't know when, but I'm going to work with this guy again. And it was one of those little seeds that planted in my mind. And fast forward to the Double Strikes in 2023.
Sounds right.
2023. Post-pandemic, I had relocated from LA and was sort of looking to build something for myself as a creator outside of being an actor. I don't want to say just be an actor, because it's obviously such a journey, a creative journey that is unique and has its own merits and its own virtues. But I think, waiting for the phone to ring was no longer an option that I was comfortable with.
And when you're a creative person, yeah, there's creative restlessness, right? And you have ideas and thoughts, and
Yeah.
why not? Yes, an actor's life is a tough one, but also most actors write, I think.
You
Like,
know,
even the very well, even to I guess I'm thinking of like Jack Nicholson, who like claims that he rewrote every part he ever played because
yeah.
he's just like, I'm gonna make it better. And that's why everyone thinks he's a good actor, because he's actually a good writer, is what I've.
Yeah. I think, some of us come to an understanding that we under, understand human behavior and what and circumstance um, earlier in our journeys, and some of us come to it later. So for even me, like I didn't necessarily, I used to write little soap operas and short stories as a kid, but I never ascribed it to like applying it to an actor, or that, I don't know why I never thought that I could translate that. But I, had a love for performance. I used to, I fell in love with like The Little Mermaid, and I started off my career as a singer and a performer on Broadway music theater, and as a kid, I would sing, Ariel's songs, and my sister and I would, play all the Disney princesses, and that was, how I fell in love with my voice and with music, and with performance. My parents put me in piano lessons, and I played flute for 2 weeks. I gave that up because it was like way too heavy for my arms at the time. I didn't want to hold it. But I always had a love for expression through the arts. And so from a young kid, my brother gave me a acoustic guitar, Johnson, when I was 13 years old, and I'm actually starting to rediscover the guitar again, this year, and that's one of my goals for next year, is to kind of pick that back up. But yeah, music has always been there, performance has always been there, but film, I think I realized my love for film through performance. So when I was in New York, through stage performance, shall I say, when I was in New York, after graduating from college with a music theater degree, and I got the music theater degree, by the way, because I thought it was the best way for me to get training in all three areas. It wasn't necessarily because I wanted to be a Broadway baby. I just wanted to learn as much as I could. And I thought, oh, I can learn how to sing, I can learn how to act, and I can learn how to dance,
Right, because you were interested in singing for singing's own sake.
for singing's own sake,
But you
right? And
didn't, right?
so,
You weren't necessarily thinking the type of acting that involves singing exclusively, but you
yeah,
wanted to, right? So was it multiple interests at once?
yeah. And so I got a music theater degree, and then I was lucky enough to connect with a gentleman named Eugene Gbowee, who is he at the time, and I think he still works with Anika Noni Rose, but he was her music director and a music director in New York City, but he would always come down to Florida to do like mini concerts. And I was simultaneously, while in school plays in college, I was also in community theater because I was insatiable. So I was, like doing multiple shows, at once throughout every season. I was always in rehearsal and I was soaking it up and I was loving it. And meeting people in the community and building my skill and my confidence. And I met Eugene. He said, "Hey, kid, you gonna come to New York?" And I said, okay. I had actually always dreamt about LA, but the opportunity presented itself at the time, and I was in music theater, so it kind of seemed like it was a natural progression. And he said, "Okay, kid, call me when you get to New York." So I got to New York, and almost immediately, was in off-Broadway workshops. I did Anika Noni Rose's workshop at the Duke Ellington Center for the Arts, a short a show that she wrote. And then I started working with the USO as a singer, performing for the troops. And that was sort of like my way to make some money. I was also, waiting tables and working for catering companies and restaurants in my off time, my on off time, and then auditioning. And almost, within a year from my move to New York City, I got my first national Broadway tour of Dreamgirls. And I was the understudy for Dina Jones and one of the stepsisters, and it was an amazing learning experience. I got to work with Robert Longbottom, who's an incredible director who actually worked primarily with the Rockettes in New York City. And it kind of steamrolled from there. So I was kind of just hitting a stride and got an agent. I, interned at an agency, and that's how I got my agent. And then, from that, at my very first TV audition, Law and Order, I booked that. And, so it's just like New York was just rolling. So I just kept going with it, But I say all that to say that through my learning and journey of stage performance and musicals, I just started feeling like, man, like I would love to be able to like be more intimate in my performance and sort of have a more lived in naturalistic like experience. And I think that's where I started realizing like, okay, this, Broadway musicals, it's not quite for me. And I found myself near the end of my journey there in 2016. I would go to auditions and kind of feel like outer body, like, this is just not, this ain't it. I was kind of auditioning for a lot of the same type of roles, typecast and jukebox musicals. And not to say that they're not amazing pieces of work. It just, I felt like I was outgrowing that sort of style of performance and also the city. And I started feeling that I needed a change. And so that's when I transitioned to LA, and where I started, to meet all the folks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mean to jump ahead to chromatography, but based upon
Yeah.
your writing and performance in that, I mean, it is a performance about subtlety and depth, and Lord knows musical theater is about being huge, right? It's just your
Yeah.
performance, you are performing
To the
for
back of
a
the
vast
house.
theater, and you're there's absolutely no call for subtlety, and even, I mean, there's character, but it's a really, I don't mean to call musical theater over the top, but I mean,
Right.
but
Because the truth is the truth.
compared to
Right.
acting for the camera, it certainly
Yeah.
is.
The muscle. The muscle is a different muscle. And then technically, just like technically you have to learn, how to keep yourself open, right, on stage to work in a proscenium, if you're on a proscenium stage, whether you're in the round or, I mean, false is false. So whether you're on stage and it's if it's not good, you know it's not good. You know, if someone's not in the moment, if they're not listening, if they're not there, you know, there are incredible skills that I learned on stage, you know, that I took with me in transition, but you have to reconfigure and you have to recalibrate your performance for camera. And then you also have to learn about, you know, the awareness also of that medium and the equipment and your spot or your, you know, your marks and, you know, and then still make it, you know, still make it real, still make it present and still be there for your scene partner and be in fully embodied. And I just, oh, I just love that. And so that's sort of what made me kind of want to make the change or, you know, for my focus to be in film and television. And that's a whole different.
Right. And obviously you got a taste of that in New York with things like with TV and
Yeah.
whatnot. But
Yeah.
after getting that taste, you realize this kind of acting very much more true to your heart.
True to my
So
heart.
that's what demanded the move to LA.
That's a great way to put it. Yeah. And it was always really my dream. You know, when I had imagined myself, you know, as an artist, my fantasy was always to live in the Hollywood Hills.
You know what? It's not a very shitty detour
Right.
to land on Broadway and get cast in a touring production of Dreamgirls. Not a
Yeah.
bad
It's
little
distracted.
tangent, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
A good way. And
Yeah.
also, and you obviously worked on your skills and I'm sure there were massive improvements technically and all kinds. Yeah. I mean, it's funny because everyone thinks of film acting as highly technical, right? Because you have to hit your marks and all this. If you
Oh
miss a mark
gosh.
on stage, you're banging into another
Performance.
person.
Oh, 100%, right? You know, spatial awareness and then, you know, stamina. I mean, 8 shows a week is not a joke. That was the other thing too, was like, man, you know, oh, you have to be, I mean, it's if both are athletic, right? I mean, stage performance is just, oh, it is a crazy marathon. I remember when I got the role of Dolores Van Cartier in Sister Act, which was my second national in an international tour. I started actually running. I prepared and I learned to be a runner in order to be able to sustain that show because one, Dolores is on stage about 95% of that two hours, and I think it was like 2 hours and 13-minute run. And she's got like 13 songs and, you know, I mean, and it is high octane, you know, comedy, like, you know, Jerry Zach's comedy is like, you know, it's a kind of a nod to the old school slapstick in a way. And so you really have to have that stamina. So I think there was such a value in all the things that I learned on stage that I was able to kind of take with me into my journey as a film actor and then relearn and newly learn, you know, what it would take, you know, because I remember when I first started auditioning even, and my manager at the time would see my tapes and she would go, listen, you can act, girl, but like, it's so perfect. It's so like it's so like stage. It is precision, you know, and in real life, it's messy. And in real life, you're stuttering and you don't know what is about to come out of your mouth. And obviously you want to bring that to the stage, but I just was so, you know, and so she said, girl, you gotta loosen it up. You gotta get in your body. You gotta mess it up. You gotta, and so I had to kind of unlearn a lot of that like perfection and precision to kind of bring it to a real place, you know, for characters on screen.
Now you bring up the great, maybe it is the irony of acting, particularly film acting, which is
Don't act.
I've met so many, and I will just affectionately call them jackasses who
Yeah.
just they watch movies and TV and they look at it and they go, I could do that and they have no understanding of how difficult it is to appear natural on camera. And you're talking about you had to learn to become natural so that people just see
Yeah.
you as a human being. And when you take a normal human being and put them on camera, oh, it's horrible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I've had to suffer through many a producer's cameo on an indie film, and you just say to yourself, "Boy, they just sat at home going, I could act." Those people on screen, I can talk like that, and
Right.
it is immensely difficult. It probably is one of the most technically challenging things possible because
Yeah. And depending
it's
on
it's
genre, right? I mean, sci-fi, I think the beautiful thing about sci-fi is that if it's done well, if it's done, if it's truly it's one of the more naturalistic sort of like performances that you can give, obviously depending on the style and what the director's trying to achieve and what the world is. But the sci-fi stuff, the post-apocalyptic stuff, your zombie worlds, your all that, it's simply just people in these circumstances that they find themselves that are heightened and that they are dire. But truly, it's like they're your everyday, person. Um, Not necessarily so much for chromatography. She's a, scientist who's neurodivergent, and that's a kind of a heightened situation and unique. But yeah, that's some of the stuff I love about that genre in particular. And it was such a blast, I think, trying to figure out like what I wanted to say as an artist was something that was really important to me. You mentioned earlier, a lot of actors write. Well, yeah, maybe some of us do, or maybe we don't even know that we can. But I just remember a lot of times, especially after, the strikes or the pandemic and the strikes, people would say, well, just write something. Okay, yeah, well, I mean, it's I don't want to one put out something that doesn't mean anything to me. What do I have to say? What do I have to offer for you to sit there and take your hard-earned time or money or to give your time to me to tell you a story. I want you to come away with something. And so for me, it was, I think, some of the reason why it took me so long to get to a point of even considering that I could conceptualize and put together something was just that I wanted it to come from my heart and from something that I knew or something that was burning inside of me that I wanted to share. And with chromatography, just my love for the genre and wanting to try to attempt that style and the world, but also kind of melding in, something that is personally important, neurodivergence, people with bipolar mania, people, who have, ADHD, people who are unique in their mind, mentally, who have, their challenges that they have to live through and still, live in the world and exist in the world in a way that they can function and be with people. And then also what that means when you are also a family member or a loved one of someone who is like that, and what those conversations can be. So kind of blending those two together and coming up with something that I thought could be interesting and maybe even something that I can continue to work on and to expand, past just the short film.
and it sounds like so you were both you were seeking to tell the story that interested you because
Yeah.
obviously you needed something that engaged you intellectually. Were you
Yeah.
also did you have it in mind to give yourself a performance that would be a challenge of portraying the neurodivergence and portraying because you infuse, by the way, I have to share that when you were talking about sci-fi and stuff, and obviously everyone refers to world building, and you talked about what it's like to act in sci-fi. I
Hmm.
think you made me realize for the first time how critical the performances are in sci-fi, because with sci-fi and fantasy too, but like the world building, it creates a completely separate world from our own. And then
Hmm.
it is those human beings on screen that connect us to it. Otherwise, we don't get pulled into that world. You have to pull us into that world, which is,
Right.
you know, a comedy set in a restaurant. You don't. We're already there.
Yeah, well, because so much of those, of those genres is the unbelievable or the inconceivable or like what hasn't quite happened yet. What's our worst nightmare, right? Or what? So, grounding it in something that feels real. you can start with just the performance and the relationships. And I think having two sisters who have this complicated relationship, and they are coming to grips with each other, with their loyalty and love to each other, but then also to the circumstances at hand and the demands of what the world is asking and demanding of them. And so that confluence of ideas, I really wanted to try to tackle, simply for the love of it, and also to hopefully say something that, you know, folks can walk away from and think about. You know, what would that be like if I had someone like that in my family? Or, you know, how can I support that person, or how can I more understand where they're coming from? You know, and so that's what I really wanted to attempt to try to, you know, to get at. And I really think, you know, with everything even going on, my prayers go out to, you know, the family just who recently had their tragedy, the Hollywood family.
Oh, the Reiners.
The Reiners. And, you know, when I see that dynamic, it reminds me of, you know, my own family and the inspiration behind this film. And so many of us, so many families, you know, have people in their family who are neurodivergent and who struggle even with, you know, addiction on top of, you know, mental disabilities. And so, yeah, it's just one of these things that just touched me, and something that I really wanted to explore. And I do look forward to trying to, you know, to figure out ways to expand that. And I'm currently writing a mini series to see if I can try it and make that world bigger and expand it further and get it out.
I'm not surprised, because chromatography certainly feels like the beginning of an act one. I mean, it quite literally.
A little cliffhanger there on the end too, you know, what are they going to do?
It is, I mean, you pull us in, but you pull us in as you set it up. And you set up the situation, and you're explaining so much about the world through the performance, through the conversation, right? It's really, and it has I was about to compare it to a stage piece, because it's really two actors in a space working off each other.
Yeah.
But it certainly doesn't feel like it, because it's so authentically done. We honestly just feel like the situation they're in feels real. You know, they're in a very real situation, and everything that you talked about is coming up.
Yeah.
And as you wrote it, did it come to you quickly, or did you add to it over time? Because there really is so much depth to it.
I had a dream, and the dream was about the person that inspired this project. And then I woke up that morning, and I couldn't get it out of my mind. And then like another week passed, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I thought, okay, this is the thing that I have to write. It doesn't always come in dreams. Sometimes it's just fun ideas and conversations with people. But this one, I think, for my first go around as a co-writer, you know, and producer, to try and do, was one that it struck me. So I called Vaughn, and I said, listen, this is the idea that I have. And I kind of just pitched the framework of it. And then he said, okay, yeah, you have something. Just jot something down. So I sat down and I wrote a first pass. It was terrible. By the way, for all you filmmakers out there, first time people learn, even ones who aren't first time, y'all, it doesn't need to be like, it will never be perfect. Chromatography, even now as it stands, you know, as honored as we are, it's not perfect, right? Like there's, you know, I think the thing is like, just do the thing, just do it. And it was enough. I got enough of the feeling and my intention out on those pages to where Vaughn could grab it and go, okay, I see where you're going here. Here's a guy that I work with all the time. He's incredible. His name is Darren. And Darren Bailey, he was the co-writer. He actually put that script together in a way, in the most beautiful way, and expressed the things that I could not express because I am an actor, first, and a learning, budding, writer. So story by me, and script by Darren Bailey. And so I sent it to Darren. He said, "Yeah, I see what you're trying to do here." And he sent me that first draft, and I just cried. I cried. It's like, oh my God, okay, yeah. And then we worked over the course of about 4 months to rewrite. I think he did about 3 or 4 passes. Vaughn was also instrumental in looking over the scripts and making sure that character-wise that they were staying true to their personalities and the situation, and fine-tuning. So we all worked as a team to fine-tune the script. And then a colleague of mine who actually met in Jacksonville, Al Letson, who was a producer, he kind of came in on the tail end to just kind of make sure that everything was really, tuned in. And then after that, I kind of just tried to scrounge up the money. It took me about a year and a half to get my funding together. I self-funded the project for about $17K. And then I got with Vaughn, and he got the crew together, and we went through his production company, and we shot in LA, and
Yeah,
then
because you needed that, because you wanted this world to, you knew you would have to build a beautiful set.
absolutely. And one of the beautiful things that Vaughn taught me too, especially for a short film, and you talked about how it felt almost kind of like a scene in a play in a sense because of the two-hander. But one of the smart things he did for me to maximize budget was to keep it in one location, right? So when you're trying to, you got budgetary constraints, and you also want to make sure that you're putting all of the money into the places where you want it to look really good. The cinematography, our director, or excuse me, our DP, and the locations, set design. That's where we really wanted to maximize the funds. And so we did one location and said, okay, how do we make this work and be cinematically interesting in one location? And sort of that's why the decision was made for that. And it's just a great lesson, like, no matter if you have $5,000 or $1,000 or $17,000, what can you do to make sure that you can achieve what it is that you're trying to get at? And we had an amazing set designer, Amy Augustine, who we worked with, who just really just worked with me on finding these little prop pieces. And I was on, I was online searching little pieces, and she would come and bring together all these beautiful, beautiful items to make that lab really full. And it was such a fun process. As a producer, I would say that's one of the more fun parts, because I'm also kind of a tactile. I like to build things. I like to work with my hands. I love HD TV and like building things around the house. And coincidentally, actually, my co-star also does that as well. So I was like, you are really like, I love you. So that was some of my favorite parts of the process, was putting together that set as well.
Excellent. Actually, and you brought up your co-star, Falami Williams. So,
Yeah.
did
New
you
York
did
Stage
you know
actress.
her? Oh, she's New York based, you said?
New York Stage actress. I think she got her MFA Columbia, if I'm not mistaken. And she's an amazing, amazing, beautiful soul. So we actually had breakdowns. We released Chromatography on the breakdowns, and we got over 1,200 submissions. Over 1,200 submissions.
Which I have to ask the very trite question, which is, what was it like being on the other side?
Um,
You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you realize, right? It's like, wow, it's casting
I
is,
have to, I'm casting people, right? I
yeah,
mean,
and it is
yeah.
hard. It's really
It's
hard.
hard. I think, what I found, obviously, probably some of the best lesson you can learn as an actor is through the casting. It truly is like, it's, you either, it's not a personal thing because there were so many beautiful actresses who submitted to the project. And there was even one, who had more of a quote unquote name. And it comes down to like your vibe as well, your personality. And if you're, not just your talent, but, who you project and how you come across, as a person that will also make an effect on you, getting the job, especially, with a small project like this one. But for me, it was really humbling. And I learned a lot. And it also helped me to really understand about like, yeah, it's not personal. Sometimes it's personal in terms of like, well, that person has a relationship with the director and that person, but then again, that's about who you are right? So, but in terms of your talent, it's not personal, right? Most of the actresses were beautiful, and it really just came down to a certain quality and sort of like a matching of energy and making sure that the person who I was opposite could really play ping pong with me. And Falami just really came in with this like, oh, she was Michelle. I mean, she had that care, that person who had the weight of the responsibility of having to look after your sister and having to cover for and having to deal with. And she also just had this beautiful, caring soul, and and she had the talent. She delivered the lines in such a beautiful way, and it was super adaptable as well. We worked. She was open to working with my coach. So after she was cast, we worked together with Hillary Tuck, who is someone that I've worked with for several years from Warner Laughlin Studio in LA. And so she was really adaptable in being able to take on new direction and flexible and malleable. And that's some of the most important things you can ask for an actor, to come in with some truth, but then also be open to whatever it can be. And especially since we were doing chemistry reads and we were doing table reads all online, I didn't get to see Falami until the day of set. But we had to establish that relationship up until that point. And we only had, how many hours? I think it was a 9-hour day to shoot 10 pages. So, we
Yeah,
really
so
had to
very
know that.
tight, very tight.
Yeah, it was
And
tight.
fair, so Falami's intangibles must have been undeniable for you to choose to cast someone remote when you could have chosen someone who you could work with face to face for a
Yeah.
week or two in
Or
advance.
someone I already knew,
Someone you already knew, yeah, because obviously you knew a ton of actors. But so the intangibles that Falami bought must have just been so overwhelming that you said, no, this is worth it. This is
Yeah. I think there's something about you can feel an actor who really just is about their craft and who really is humble for the work, and it's not about ego. For me too, I will say, because I knew I was playing Nae, and I knew what I would have to step into in terms of emotionally, I needed to feel safe with someone. I needed to feel that that person would hold me and take whatever it was that would happen, and that I could do the same for that person. And, you know, she is a consummate actor. And maybe that's that New York actor thing. I don't know. I mean, not to say that they're not amazing, like well studied and also like humble for the work, actors in LA or anywhere else. But she just has, that there's that discipline, and then there's that just like, let's get down to the script here. Let's get down to the scene. What's happening between us? What's our history? Where do we come from? And how can I hold you and support you in this moment and challenge you in this moment? And that's what you need in a scene partner. And that's what Falami had.
absolutely, yeah. And I'm not too surprised because of your similar backgrounds on stage in New York. I bet that was a bit of connective tissue.
Yeah, I think more, I mean, outside of knowing that she was, in New York, I didn't necessarily put stock in that when we cast her, but it came together like, oh, yeah, well, that makes sense, you know? So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
truly,
could you feel the mad? Could you feel it was going to work as soon as you met?
yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
can feel it. And it's a feeling, and that's the thing. It's a feeling, you
It
know?
really is, and it's so intangible when you're on a set and you witness two actors just fit in front of that camera. It's really honestly, I think one of the few analogies I can think of is it's even just like sports, right?
Yeah,
Like in tennis, you could take two great players and have them play doubles together and they lose.
yeah,
And two lesser players with perfect chemistry and they just fit together and they can just sing.
yeah.
Honestly, chemistry is real, and the way, there's a billion factors that go into what make two human beings meld
And
and
do.
perform well together.
Yeah, and so that's what you picked up on, and that's what the filmmakers picked up on. I think when they honored us with with outstanding performance, is because of that thing that we both held very sacred, and and it was very important to us.
Yeah. So one day, get this get this whole thing done in one day, which which
Yeah.
also sounds like the three of you who co-produced kept your eyes on the prize and made sure that it didn't go over.
Vaughn and Callie run a very tight ship. Callie
They
Corshi,
do.
who is the other half of Creative Duet, I can't sing their praises enough. They're super organized, super creative, flexible, and they are just, I'm working with them on other projects coming up in the new year, and I will continue to work with them for as long as they'll have me.
Right? And Callie is
They're-
so good at producing, but is also such a great actor herself. And I'm sure that her producing is made even better by the fact that she understands what it's like to be that person on camera too.
Let me tell you, she's one of my favorite actors. I'm dying to work across a scene from her one day, and I've been saying this forever, but yeah, she's just truly a creative being. From editing, she edited Chroma as well, and it was fun working with her on that too. And yeah, editor, producer, actress, she'll even get in there and do set stuff, and she's just the Renaissance woman of all. And
That's right. Doesn't she edit everything that Vaughn
yeah,
does?
she edits almost yeah, I think just about everything that
I
Vaughn
think
does.
so.
Yeah, and
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 doesn't run
mind you,
around claiming credit for it either.
oh
I
my
mean, he gets
gosh,
credited on screen, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, yeah, and those
very
of us who
humble.
know film, right, know that actually film is an editor's medium. It's an editor. It is the editor's medium, and I think actually the Oscars are finally are they doing? Oh no, they've been doing editing awards.
Yeah,
I
they
think
do editing,
asking that they definitely,
but
but
I know this is a hill I will die on, but they've
yeah.
ne but the people who decide the Oscars don't understand editing, and
Um,
they just give it to the film that they thought was an amazing film, and they don't understand that
why? They
the
don't understand
comedy
that.
editor is actually making comedy timing work
Ooh, I
so much
mean,
harder than everything else.
so and comedy is you have to be incredibly intelligent to be a great comedian and to understand comedy. But yeah, I mean, listen, when it comes to tone, when it comes to pace, when it comes to you can have let me tell you how much I will also die on this hill. We finished Chroma, and I'm thinking, all right, we made this dramatic sci-fi like, thing. And then Callie turns in her cut and it feels like a thriller. And I'm like, whoa. Whoa, wait. I never saw it like this. And literally, the decision you made to add this part here and to do that there, and to omit that and to put that in and to cut it off early. I mean, and then you add the sound design and just the way I was like, oh, this is so good. Like okay, we actually have something kind of decent. And it
Yeah.
was Callie. It was Callie. you know?
Oh, it was in this. It was in there though, because it is a thrilling when you think about it. I mean,
Yeah.
the analogy I'm going to pull out is there's a ticking time bomb on screen.
Yeah, literally, right?
Not yeah. Well, I guess literally, but yeah, there's a launch. I don't think
Yeah,
it's a spoiler to say there's a launch that they are
right.
struggling to complete their work by. And
By a
yeah, that's
certain
a
time.
thrilling situation.
Yeah, yeah. But she just really brought that to the fore in a way that I had new eyes.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I can't sing Callie's praises enough. She's amazing and she's going to just go to the moon and beyond. I have no doubt she's going to be wildly successful for the rest of her career and then some.
Absolutely. And you know
Yeah.
what? I'm going to cross my fingers as the festival programmer who knows all of you now. I really do
Yeah.
hope that you will be acting in the same space as Callie sometime with cameras around because that would be really fun. I would love
That
to
would
see
be
that.
amazing. As amazing as it was working with Falami and even then some. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, obviously that is one of the other great things, right? Is you don't have to be monogamous on screen
Right.
with acting partners. It benefits everyone that everyone, works just creates art with as many people who they find are worthy of it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, so she delivered that cut and you were absolutely over the moon delighted, it sounds like.
I was surprised. I was surprised. And to be surprised in your work is like oh is it's not even necessarily a goal because that's what surprise is, right? Is you don't know that it's coming. So it's just like the gift of being a creative is when you can be surprised when you find yourself in a scene and you're like, whoa, I didn't know that that would come out like that, or man, I didn't know that this could be edited in this way and now I see the film in a whole new way, or man, this writer turned in a draft and it's like I'm crying and I didn't know that I was gonna cry. You know? um, that's why I'm a creative. That's why I'm an artist, is because you kind of look for those moments where you can just be surprised by life and by the work.
Right. And you're too smart and creative to do things that bore you. I think I think that drives a lot of people is that they would just be too bored if things didn't get more interesting.
For sure, for sure. And I think that's one of the reasons why I also decided to kind of make the leap and go, okay, maybe I could write. I might
Yeah,
not be.
so was it seeing when you saw the finished product, is that when you thought, okay, let's expand this world, or were you even thinking that earlier?
Earlier, that was kind of a conversation that Vaughn is, he'll plant these seeds along the way and he'll be like, okay, now you know that you can do this and you can, start thinking about what this would look like if we were to try and sell it, pitch it, and to make it either a mini series or make it a feature. And I personally, just because of this particular world, I'd love to see it extended into like a mini series form or even a long form series personally. Even though he's like the film guy, he wants features all day. uh,
I mean, I think you're onto something. No, I mean, and Vaughn has been a friend for a long time, so I certainly
yeah,
wouldn't but I think I would take your side on that, especially I just think that sci-fi at the series level is one of the most rewarding things because once you create the world, you want to live there for a
you
while.
want to live there for a while. You care about these characters and how they get out and their decisions and what they do. And one thing comes to mind. You know, Alien Earth came out recently, and Noah Crawley, I think, is a director, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, he's done such amazing series work in the past, but this particular Alien, I really, really, really loved. I just turned grounded and just like, even in this completely fantastical world, um, the performances and the character work that everyone was doing on there is just so much fun, and it's a fresh way to see it, and the writing is really, really smart, and just very human. Even I don't want. Well, I guess it's out, so it's not like if I said anything, it'd be a spoiler. But you've got sort of these hybrids who are robots and human, and just to see them wrestle with learning what that means and who they are, and how they and the power struggles, and who is more powerful. And I just think it's really interesting. And so, yeah, I mean, this is why I love the genre so much when it's done really, well
Well,
like
and
that.
it's obvious you like to dig deep and really find out about motivations
Motivation,
and and uh and
relationship.
long form
Yeah.
series work just allows so much more depth. You right? It's always funny to me that the 90 minute to 2 hour film is considered the ultimate expression in this multimedia world when you get to know the characters in a like whatever. I think we all love slow horses probably.
Yeah.
And getting to be with those
Our show.
characters for hours and hours and hours over time.
Yeah.
We know, but we know the characters on a sitcom better than anyone in a 2 hour movie. You cannot
Yeah.
get to know the people that well.
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah.
much more about plot, that 2 hour
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, excellent. And and so you're working on that and obviously and just still actively acting and everything.
Yeah. I actually also do voiceover work, and I think I can share this because by the time it comes out, the audiobook will be released shortly thereafter. But so I was born in Liberia in West Africa. I am an immigrant to the United States due to civil war. My family and I came here when I was 2.5, because of the Liberian Civil War. And it's something that it's a huge part of my advocacy, my mission in the world, and the things that I want to do, and sort of represent for my country. And I was really, really honored to have been asked by Scholastic Audio Books to narrate the children's book called Rise Girl Rise by American activist icon Gloria Steinem and Liberian Nobel laureate Leymah Gbowee. And so I got a chance to record that actually this month, and it'll be coming out in February. And I'm super excited about that. But it'll be available on with Scholastic Books and Scholastic Audiobooks. And
I'm giving Renee a golf clap silently because also
oh
I
my,
have to admit that Gloria Steinem is kind of like one of the greatest heroes who's ever lived to me personally. I
yeah.
just an amazing human being.
Yeah, and Leymah Gbowee for the Liberian community, she played a major part in helping to end the Civil War. And so if you have a chance to read about her, she's an amazing woman, and won a Nobel Peace Prize for that, along with Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, who was the first elected female Liberian president of our country. And so, super amazing honor to be able to voice her for her role for her audiobook with Gloria Steinem. And it just one of those gifts that came through, and truly, I think probably one of the greatest honors I'll ever have in my life. So super excited about that. Yeah, and then we have Chromatography that's going to be coming up in the 51st annual Boston Sci-Fi Festival. It's February 11th through the 16th. I'm still waiting on our screening date, but I'm looking to reunite with Falami in person to pop up. So you started us rolling, got the ball rolling. Chromatography did pretty well this season. We also were in the Brooklyn Sci-Fi Festival, and out of 180 films around the world, we were voted top 5 for People's Choice Awards out of 180 films. So incredible. We were also semi-finalists in the Rhode Island International Vortex Film Festival as well. So Chroma did us proud in 2025, and looking forward to continuing that story and delving into these characters and, you know, expanding the world and doing more with Chroma, and then other projects with Vaughn, and you know, and some other things that, you know, until the contract is signed, I don't want to say.
Understood. I just have to add that it sounds like there was a very well thought out festival plan, because I hear LA, New York, Boston, like
Mhm. Yeah.
it doesn't sound haphazard to me where the film is played.
You know, we threw our name in the hat everywhere, and you know, for my very first project as a producer and a co-writer, and star in it, I think I couldn't be happier and more grateful with where we've landed. Truly, being a part of Film Invasion LA was just the catalyst and the most encouraging, amazing experience, and an honor. I say that, you know, truly from my heart. And to have been acknowledged by the filmmakers was just something that I couldn't have even imagined. And I'm just super grateful that, you know, I had the opportunity to be able to share that with you all, and you know, to chat with you today as well. So it's just been, I couldn't ask for more. I think the best thing to say is just, if it's in your heart, do it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. Find your people, find your community, share your ideas, and see what you can put out, and then rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for also mentioning, it's funny, as you introduced yourself and shared your personal story,
Yeah.
I didn't. I've gotten very good at not. I hope I've gotten good at not interrupting people as they're doing that. But I did want to ask where you grew up, and then thankfully you added in at the end that you
Yeah.
actually were born in Liberia and your family moved over. And
Yeah.
where did you settle here?
So we started off in New York and Long Island's on Northport.
Can you slide into any accent where you've lived?
Listen, the kids made fun of me. I remember, after we left New York and we went down to Atlanta, and I was in that class with these kids, and they would be like, say dog, and I'm like dog, and they're making fun of me, and almost everything that came out of my mouth, they're laughing at me, and I'm like, well, you say dog, so it's dog. Walk, dog. So yeah, I have learned how to be, you know, many people. Maybe that's why I became an actor, is because I
I was
moved
about to say
around so much.
it's a pretty short leap to say that not all, but many actors grew up changing schools and things, and
I did a
learning
lot of
to
that.
perform
Yeah.
for their classmates, because we all do that. But obviously, when you stay put for a while, you kind of you don't have to be as creative. You don't have to reinvent.
Yeah, yeah, you could, yeah, you know, I think that's probably where maybe some of that innate ability came from. So, as much as it might have sucked to move, you know, to so many different schools and all that, at the end of the day, it all worked out okay, I think.
Well, and I got to figure weather-wise, you were better off in Atlanta. Heck, so
Hotlanta, Hotlanta.
it is pretty hot and humid, I guess.
Yeah. But at least, you know, now in Nashville here, you know, you get the four seasons, and you know, you get the beautiful foliage, and I didn't think there was anything more beautiful than spring in Tennessee, but the fall in Tennessee is just, oh my God, the bright red, bright orange, and yellow, neon yellow, and green and brown. It's just like in the mountains, and oh, it's amazing. So I think, though, I am a Southern girl at heart. I'm a country mouse. I'm a Southern girl, and I'm happy that way.
Absolutely. Well, that's wonderful. All right. Well, uh, I've got your social media handle,
Yeah.
and so we'll make that a clickable link in the show notes. But is there anything else that people should check out and follow you on, or?
Yeah, Murdoch Murders. I shot a quick A quick spot on Murdoch Murders. I'm on episode 3 called Kokomo. It is on Hulu now. And Jason Clarke's performance is absolutely astounding. I truly think that he's probably going to win a bunch of stuff in the next award season, but he's amazing. And as well as the rest of the cast, Patricia Arquette is also just so beautiful. Talk about nuance and subtlety in terms of acting and like groundedness. Oh my God. And actually, those two performances opposite each other, you've got like the bigness of the character of Murdoch that he plays, and then her character, his wife, and she's sort of this subdued, like, South Carolina wife, and then she's still got power underneath. It's incredible. So check out that show. The cast is incredible. Great true crime story. That's on Hulu now. And then, next year, Rise Girl Rise will be coming out on audiobook on Scholastic. And, God willing, you'll be seeing me out on some other projects in the new year to come. And just keep trucking. And hopefully more chromatography stuff.
That would be very cool. All right. Well, I will wrap us up. First, I'll thank you, Renee, for doing this.
Thank you for having me. It's been so much fun, Jeff. I appreciate it.
It's always fun. I remember, you know what? Mm-hmm. I'm just going to be cheesy. And even though it's so smart to wrap up a podcast quickly, I'm going to wrap it up slowly by asking you, I remember at the theater at Film Invasion Los Angeles, you gave a wonderful definition for the word chromatography.
Yeah.
Oh, am I putting you on the spot by asking you to repeat it?
Yeah. So the scientific abbreviated version of chromatography is a separation of two mixtures or two substances. And it essentially sort of symbolized the separation of oneself, the separation of the sisters in the story, the separation of our humanity in the world. And it was actually a beautiful idea by Darren Bailey, who's the writer, and he named his first pass chromatography, and I was like, what does that mean? And then it just was perfect, and we just love it. So
wonderful. And I have to admit, it also notches a wonderful box in my festival runner's head, which is it always breaks my heart when someone has a really great idea and a really great film, and it's a title I've seen 117 times. And then they throw it, and then you're trying to look up the person's short on IMDb, and it's like, Rideshare number 117. I'm like,
oh gosh, right.
Man, you really made yourself hard to find. So anyway, now we'll do the proper wrap up. You're right. Well, anyway, I just remember that being a nice moment, so I figured we'd recreate it. So everyone should go to the clickable links in the show notes and follow Renee and find out all the great work, and definitely pay attention to the Murdaugh Murders and Rise Girl Rise when that comes out. That'd be If you remember, just fire off an email if we can direct people to Rise Girl Rise, because that certainly sounds
100%
so wonderful.
Yeah.
All right, dear listener, if you want to learn more about this podcast, where we talk to filmmakers on the festival circuit, check out discoverindiefilm.com. On social media, it's always at DIFwins. I'm actually at the end of the year of 2025 where I gave up social media. My wonderful podcast producer, Karina reads all the messages that we get on social media. I do not look at it, but I do look at Blue Sky because no one else is on there, so it's very quiet. But anyway, I got away from the doom scroll. This weird thing happened. I read a couple books. So anyway, discoverindiefilm.com is the website. At DIFwins, DIFwins is the social media. If you change that .com to .org, discoverindiefilm.org, that is the nonprofit that runs Film Invasion Los Angeles and Sherman Oaks Film Festival, two festivals based in the LA area that both are actually in the top 100 best reviewed list of 14,000 festivals in the world. So
you did that.
So, for our 10th anniversary, I don't know if you remember, but we actually put it on our T-shirt that says the festival that gives a shit. Although the I in shit is an upside down exclamation point.
Can I still get that T-shirt? I missed it.
Yeah, we still have them.
Okay, I'm gonna go online and order it or something.
Yeah, actually, we do. Amusingly, I never mentioned this, but it was funny. We used to. I will. I won't waste too much time. Someone who knew their shit tipped me off that we should use this Printify website, and they just make stuff on demand, and it costs. So now we got a merch stores because, we don't have to stock shirts or anything. We just and then we order them off Printify, and they actually cost us less than we used to when we bought them from some big T-shirt maker. It was
Smart person.
I should thank the person. Thank you, Deborah. It was actually.
Thanks, Deb.
And I went to high school with Deborah, and I am blanking on her married name, but she was Deborah Coburn in high school. All right, so anyway, so at discoveryindiefilm.com and discoveryindiefilm.org, Sherman Oaks Film Festival and Film Invasion Los Angeles, and I call those two sister festivals, and I will mention that last month in January 2026. Their cousin in South America was born. Film Invasion Leymah in Lima, Peru, was January 16th and 17th in Lima. I believe in 2027 we'll do the second year in February, because it turns out January 16th is pretty darn close to Christmas and New Year's.
Yeah.
And herding the cats and getting all the files you need and everything to run a film festival when people are
still on vacation brain.
On vacation, holiday brain. You also got to, how many gifts we got to run out and buy gifts for white elephant exchanges and stuff. And it's like,
right.
Who's thinking about, January 16th is pretty close to New Year's. So
yeah, true.
And honestly, it was too close to Sherman Oaks Film Festival for me to be as helpful as I wanted to be. But there's a wonderful team down there, and they're actually 2-time alumni with our festivals, and they're running Film Invasion Leymah, and it's going to be wonderful.
Oh, congratulations. Amazing. Can't wait for the next one.
Thank you. Well, who knows if you, I only half jokingly, if you run into somebody in Nashville who's like, Nashville needs a really great little film festival. If they're a person of quality, have them fire off an email, because we've had someone almost do Film Invasion London. Someone almost did Film Invasion Vancouver, but I always have to explain to them how much work is involved.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to do it. I've got a festival every 6 months here in LA, and I basically don't get a break anymore.
Oh man, we appreciate it. Thank you, Jeff.
Well, I appreciate. Look, I've said it way too many times, but without people like yourself making great films, there just would be no festival. You can't have a festival without films. That's why, to jump on my soapbox for half a second. That's why when I meet people who run other festivals, sometimes they say stuff to me like, oh, you guys do long Q&As? Yeah, I don't give a shit about that. Who cares what the filmmakers want? I say to myself, you don't care what the filmmakers want, but without the filmmakers, you'd have no festival. So it's not how I think. All right.
Amen. Amen.
Now I'll hop off my Jeff is wonderful soapbox. I really shouldn't do it, but anyway.
We need it. We need you. Thank you.
I should edit that last comment out. And here
no
I warned you that there's no edit.
No, the role goes to you too.
No edits. All right. Well, that's excellent. Hey, I said something. Okay. Anyway, thank you so much, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jeff.
And thank you everyone for listening. And just so you know, the podcast after this one in the podcast feed will be Renee answering the Discover Indie Film 4 questions, which means we'll get to find out many films that you love and that you may not love so much. So there we go.
All right.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And happy 2026. This is end of January. I guess it's a little late for that.
Happy 2026.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye.